Welcome to Leave It on the Court. My name is Corey Randall.
My name is Mustafa.
So, for this segment, topic for this segment is: does defense win championships? So, since this is a hot topic, it's always is a topic that analysts, coaches, and players preach in sports. Obviously, we're a basketball channel. So, what is your take on that?
My take on it. Defense is a part of winning championships, but it's not the end all be all. At the end of the day, you gotta have a fully rounded team. You gotta have the personnel that supports you being able to make adjustments in the game and throughout the series on defense and offense. Uh, Me personally, along with some other people, believe that you need at least two superstars on your team to win to be successful. I also think you need two superstars and an X factor player. You need like a guy that maybe a fringe all star player like a Chris
Right.
Middleton or you say a Draymond Green or like somebody on your team that you can rely on outside of the other two-star players that you may have. You know,
Right.
um, yeah, I think you need to be well-rounded. You can't just say, I'm gonna just do it on defense and we'll come along offensively. I mean, yeah, if you have the right personnel, but not if you're like a team like how Chicago Bulls were when they were when Derrick Rose won MVP. He was like the major source of scoring. The rest of
Right.
the team really couldn't do it on the other side of the ball that consistently. I
Hmm.
say so. You need both.
True. Um, yeah, I think Bulls could have gone a lot further if they had had like a more developed Jimmy Butler at the time for what he's come into at that time. He's primarily we want to put you on offense to guard LeBron and this that, and then everybody else was more of a defensive player. Luol Deng and Joakim Noah and all them. But yeah, I definitely think you obviously you need both in order to win. My issue with the statement is more like it kind of gives off the impression that if you can play D, that you're gonna win. I think defense can carry you far, but at the end of the day, the best defensive players, in the world aren't gonna stop the best offensive players. I don't care who you are. You play great D on MJ. You play great D on Kobe. You're not gonna stop them. You're not gonna stop LeBron. You're not gonna stop KD. The point is to limit them. Um, even with Kobe saying Tony Allen's the best defender he's ever faced, Tony Allen's not gonna stop him. He's just gonna make him work for his buckets. Um, but when you look at some of the teams, only one team that has been a top tier defensive team and not that great of an offensive team that won a championship was the Detroit Pistons beating the Lakers. And I also think with that series, the Lakers were dealing with some internal issues. I feel like Kobe and Shaq were there was a lot of tension there, which kind of led to them losing that series. But other than that, like you look at the Knicks losing to the Spurs, they both of those were top two like defensive teams in that season, and the Spurs won because they had offense. They had guys they could go to. You can go to Tim Duncan. You can go to Dave Robinson. You can get clutch buckets. You can get clutch shots. While the Knicks didn't really have that. And when you think about it, in certain games, there are some teams who lose out because they don't have a go-to guy or a guy to rely on in the fourth quarter. When you look at the Jazz for the past few seasons been a really great defensive team, and that's mainly because of Rudy Gobert. But then it's on offense, you don't have that go-to guy. They have, developing young star in Donovan Mitchell, but he still isn't that guy as of yet. We will be able to see soon enough. Who knows? Um, but that's just my take on that. Like you need both. You need to be able to score the ball, but you also need to defend. And when you look at certain teams, especially juggernaut teams like the Warriors, the first thing that comes to mind if you're an opposing team, Like, what are you thinking? You're thinking, how am I going to stop these guys? Which is defense, but you're thinking, how am I going to stop these guys because their offense is so potent. Um, so that's just my take on that. And obviously, the better, higher ranked and stuff that you are in both areas, the better your chances are to be successful and win a championship.
Yeah, I agree. However, you did say something about the internal issues with the Lakers, and this is what I piggyback of probably something I said earlier.
Mm,
Luck is involved. Like,
yeah,
man, no matter what year it is, man, there's always something that aids a team to better, help them win in a championship. Whether
right,
that's injuries, that's internal issues, or that's a mental breakdown, or a mistake that's being made that costs a team more than it may seem like one game, but it's more than one game just by one silly decision. You know,
right,
there's a lot that goes into it, man, and yeah, you do need to have a guy, that go-to guy, because it's really about you gotta look at the matchups. Like, all right, let's say for example, the opposing team has KD. You gotta have somebody who can match up with that guy, because like you said, this guy, you can play great defense, but you're not gonna stop this guy every single possession and every single play. He's gonna get his buckets.
right,
It's a matter of making it difficult for him and making him think more on the court. But you
right,
got to have a guy that can give it to him as well. Like, give him, if you give me 6 buckets straight, 7, back to back. You need that.
right. And also that's not for me to discredit the Pistons. I think the cool thing about the Pistons is you didn't have like a big star guy. You had everybody. It was kind of like an even playing field. Everybody understood their role, so there's no egos. So then you're willing to defer to guys and share the ball. So they didn't really have a go-to guy, but they had guys who could make big plays. Whether that was Ben Wallace on defense, Chauncey Billups has the name Mr. Big Shot for a reason, to hit big shots, Rasheed Wallace, whoever it was. But who are you just talking about? Oh, the Warriors. Because even if you look at the Warriors, when the Rockets went to 7 games and Chris Paul was hurt late in Game 5 and he missed Game 6 and 7, like people try to look at, well, the Warriors won because of their great defense, and to me it was like that Game 7, bruh. Rockets missed, I forgot what it was, 25, 27 straight threes or something like that. And a lot of that to me had nothing to do, like, not nothing to do with defense, but a lot of it was just missed shots because these guys were missing shots that they normally make. I think Ariza was like 0 of 9 from 3. You had a lot of guys who were just off. And to me, that was just the thing about defensive rating, too, that can be kind of misconstrued is if you're missing shots, you could be missing wide open shots and you're boosting the defensive rating of the other team, and they didn't even really do much. And and I thought Rockets did a good job in that series of forcing the Warriors out of their element, which is a lot of ball movement and screens. What they did was force KD into an ISO situation. Be like, okay, KD's going to score 40, 50, whatever, but he's not going to win. He's not going to score 100 points and outscore everybody, which disrupted everything. But yeah, I think just chemistry, just knowing your roles, and also it also comes down to the coach. Who was coaching the Pistons at that time?
Larry Brown.
Larry Brown, yeah. Like knowing how to put guys together, knowing how to, whenever you're gonna add somebody on your team, you want to be able to not just look at the negatives of their deficiencies of the player, but you want to look at what they're best at and put them in the right roles to be successful. So. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Defense does get a little misconstrued, but for me, and this is why I'm not too crazy on stats.
Mm,
Stats are good; they're a good measuring stick at times, but I think with defense, like, you got to measure a team's intensity and how that's affecting, a team's offense. Are they speeding up the opposing team's offense? Do they have control over the game? How are
right.
they controlling the pace? Stuff like that. Can they play without fouling? Because if you're gonna like play real aggressive defense and you're fouling every possession, it's like I mean, you're not really helping your team because
Mm.
you rack up enough fouls. It's gonna. Your coach has some decisions to make, and if you're an important player on the team, that's not helping you.
Yeah, and you
So
just giving them like free throws and stuff.
yeah, you're giving up free throws, easy buckets, and those come to bite you.
Hmm. Definitely.